TV, and he said that all of a sudden I was catching an attitude because he saw what was happening. Because he left, it was 34-20. Right?
Correct.
And Baker had just thrown his first interception in forever, and it looked like ball game, right? And then all of a sudden, it looked like it was Baker's
Well, Skip, he didn't have a choice because they got no other quarterbacks. RG3 is on IR. Trace McSorley had just gone down. Lamar is the only quarterback unless they go to the emergency quarterback, and I'm thinking Willie Snead IV or Hollywood Brown is going to be your options. So it's 4th down, Skip, 4th and 5, and you got to go to Willie Snead IV or you go to Hollywood Brown to try to pick up a 4th down.
And then to your point, he returns just as almost like right on schedule. No offense, I'm knocking on wood for Trace. I hope he's okay because he got his left leg caught underneath him and it looked not good.
It looked bad. It did.
Right?
Yes.
Left knee wrenched. Don't know what the outcome of that was. But if Trace doesn't get hurt, I don't know what happens. I don't know. Could he complete a 4th down pass? He's capable. He's a tough kid. He's a gamer.
Well, Joe Woods, the defensive coordinator from Cleveland, must have thought that was McSorley still in the ball game because otherwise I don't understand why you would blitz him in that situation. And Skip, if you blitz up the middle, you must tell your end. You've got to contain. Because Skip, if you get White, because even if he didn't throw it, he's going to pick up the 1st down with his legs.
Well, you realize we were real close to that being Willie Snead? Because he was the emergency quarterback as the receiver who just caught the big pass from Trace McSorley, right? That almost saved the game right there. So we almost had a Willie Snead 4th down, and I don't know what John Harbaugh would have done if he would have just said, I give up, or
Skip, and this is another reason. Coaches always said it's kind of hard to have 2 quarterbacks that are very different on your roster. Because now, Greg Roman.
Remember, RG3 is now hurt and he was the backup.
Correct. But now, Skip, you got to call plays. You go from calling plays for Lamar Jackson to basically calling plays for Trace McSorley, who's more of a drop back than more of a mobile quarterback on the move. So now you got to go into a totally different, because I'm good. I'm calling plays from Lamar. I'm dialing up. It's going good. And now I got Trace McSorley. So now I got to think about, okay, what can he do really well against what they're trying to take away from us?
Exactly. So Lamar breaks contain. He gets outside. He's on the move, and he looked 1,000% healthy, back to life, right? And he is such a threat that corners and safeties just freeze. And Hollywood, who'd already dropped 2, you could argue 3 passes before. He just breaks free behind them because they're frozen, and Lamar just floats it pretty right up to him and into his hands, and it's here we go.
And that's the thing that's so hard, Skip, when you're dealing with guys like Lamar and dealing with guys like Kyler. Skip, you got to stay plastered because if you come up, everybody, that's your guy. But you saw he was about to run to get the 1st down. Don't worry about that. If he gets the 1st down, we can live with that. We make him go 3, 4 more downs.
I think they decided in their subconscious he's a bigger threat to run than to throw. Because I think he had at that point like 80 yards passing. Right around 80.
He had more yards on the final 2 drives than he had in the previous 2.5 quarters.
So then he comes back for the final possession, and instead of running, they go throw, and he goes 14-14 to Mark Andrews, and then a 6-yard completion and a 4-yard completion, and all of a sudden, the greatest distance kicker I have ever seen. I have never seen anything like Justin Tucker.
And he's small, man. Skip, he's not a big man.
He's small. No one has ever gotten the lift on kicks that this young man gets. They launch. I don't know how he gets it up so high so quick. But it just launches. He's 42 of 49 in his career from 50-plus yards. That's
unheard of.
A lot of guys are that good or bad on extra points, right?
Skip, if he was in a dome, you could understand it.
I agree.
If he kicked in Miami or Tampa or warm weather, you could understand it. He's kicking in Baltimore. He's kicking in Pittsburgh. He's kicking in Cleveland. He's kicking in Cincinnati. The lion's share of his career. And for him to have those kind of numbers, it just goes to show you. I agree with you. He's the greatest distant kicker. Now, obviously, Vinatieri is more clutch because he's had more opportunities. But
Definitely, yes.
Vinatieri ain't kicking bombs like remember he kicked that 61-yarder to beat Detroit on a Monday. I think it was a Monday night.
And when I think of distance, I think of Sebastian Janikowski, and he was like 225, maybe 250. I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
And this is a slender young man who was undrafted.
Right.
Are you kidding me? And look what he did again. And he constantly does that. And he's got a chance on the arc he's on to eclipse Adam Vinatieri, right?
Yeah,
Okay, back to the question. Was this the game of the year? I got to tell you, I'm racking my brain, and maybe this is happening too fast, but it might be the greatest Monday night game ever. And I hark back to one that we just raved and gushed about here for an entire show. It was played on November 19th of 2018, a Monday night game, remember, between Jared Goff and Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
And that was final score, Rams winning 54-51. But what undercut the greatness of that duel was Mahomes had a rough night.
Right.
It was great bad.
Right.
And we see that occasionally from him. But he was great. He threw for 478, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 2 lost fumbles.
Right.
So Mahomes had 5 turnovers.
Right.
Same kind of game. Both teams combined for 35 fourth-quarter points, but it never seemed like this.
Right.
It didn't feel like the shootout that this was.
Maybe Skip, you remember the Jets, Miami, that Monday night game?
I do.
They ended up having that. That was a good one. But Skip, this, for the amount of the seesaw back and forth in the last 3 minutes, you're like, well, Cleveland got this one. And then, like, did he just go down the field running the football? Did he just go down the field in like a minute? No, it wasn't even a minute, because he came in, as soon as he came in the 4th and 5, he threw a touchdown. So in like 10 seconds, he had the lead to get the 2-point conversion. Now they up 7. And you're like, okay, Baker, what you got?
Yep.
Baker says, I got this. You're like, oh, well, they go into overtime. Lamar said, no, we're not. And my thing was, Chuck, you got 55 in you? That's good from 60 plus.
Yep. It was. No, I agree. So I'm going to go out on the end of the limb and say, I can't remember a better regular season game in this decade, than that one. So I'll go regular season game of the decade. Obviously, the Brady comeback in the Super Bowl against the Falcons. I don't know if it's great, bad. It's like greatness on one side and really not greatness by the Falcons, but obviously they came from 28 to 3
23,
down.
25 points down.
That'll work for great. That was on the Super Bowl stage, but this is regular season, Monday night. Doesn't get any better than this.
It doesn't, Skip. And you look at what happened is that when Jimmy Smith, the thing that Ravens can do, they can pressure you because they got, 3 number 1 draft picks at the corner position. Jimmy Smith, Marlon Humphrey, and Peters, Marcus Peters. But once Jimmy Smith went down, they had to bring his backup in.
And remember, Marcus Peters went out mid-4th quarter with some kind of calf.
Yeah, I think it might have been he slipped. He was looking in the backfield, and the guy turned and ran and got a touchdown on. So I think it was more of his pride than his leg.
Maybe.
But, Skip, when you get what we call in football, we call it a fish. And when you get a fish, Skip, you don't let him go now. You don't let him off the hook. You make sure you take him to the market.
Yeah.
And you see what Baker was doing. He's like, I'm not fooling with you, Marlon. I'm not fooling with you, Peters. I got him. And if y'all don't give him help, we're going to go right down the field on him. And what did they do? Boom, boom, boom. But... And I think they also knew Bowser made a heck of a play, Skip. When we say buzz the flat, that's what we mean. Get out under the flat route. Take away the out. Take away the hook route. That's what you're supposed. That's how you play it.
It was almost like a zone blitz where you thought he was coming, and then he just backed out and broke.
Yes.
And Baker didn't make I think he got a little fooled. He didn't anticipate. And remember, that's his first interception in 187 throws.
Yes.
And what a snag it was, one-handed snag.
Yes. Normally, Skip, most times, that's an incomplete.
Yeah.
The ball hits his hand and it goes to the ground.
So when that happened, and he nearly pick-sixed it.
Yes.
And it took one play, touchdown. I thought that was it.
Yeah.
I thought that was the end of the line for Baker and the Browns as we had loved them recently. And then here they storm back, and there went Lamar to the locker room.
Skip, you look at Baltimore, and they're going 70 yards in 4 plays, touchdown. They go, obviously, after that play right there, 1 play, a touchdown. And then they go 9 for 79 for a touchdown. Skip, when you run the ball, you're like, oh, man, they about to chew up 8, 9, 10 minutes of the clock. Skip, they're chewing up a minute, 2 minutes, running the football. That's unheard of.
Wow.
But I don't know what Cleveland, Skip. If I'm playing the Baltimore Ravens, same with the Tennessee Titans, the Cleveland Browns, I got to make your quarterback beat me throwing the football, Skip. They're the top 3 rushing team. Lamar Jackson is more dangerous with his legs than with his arms. And somehow the creases that they were that he was getting, I'm like, bro, do y'all watch film? Does anybody watch film, Skip? Does anybody study anymore?
Yeah. He is just so explosively quick and fast. It's unbelievable. I think it doesn't even show up on tape just how quick and fast.
Well, you can't simulate that because I remember the Cowboys said, well, we had Cedric Wilson playing quarterback to try to mimic Lamar.
No. And by the way, you realize his QBR last night was 99.5, which is pretty close to 100, and that was tied for the 8th best of all time QBR, and 4 of the top 8 belong to that man, Lamar. He looked like the reigning MVP last night. That's the first time all year that was an MVP caliber.
So if you think about, Skip, the 2 drops that he had by Hollywood and the 2 overthrows, he really should have been perfect. He should have been perfect throwing the football.
99.5, Skip. Wow, that's incredible.